fire up the tiki torch and pass the Doritos, a woman from Winnipeg came this close to making the final four of Survivor 47. We have her next on Brio TV, the podcast. Genevieve Mushaluk, a 33-year-old corporate lawyer from Winnipeg, Manitoba, had her torch snuffed on last week's 2-hour second-last episode of Survivor 47. Picked as the final member of the jury, she'll be in LA watching the finale with the rest of the castaways when the season ends with a 2-hour finale December 18th on CBS and Global. Did she see her elimination coming? Does she have any regrets? Will she ever eat rice again? And what about all those snakes and spiders? Mushaluk tells all in this shorter than usual episode of Brio TV, the podcast. And here she is, one of Canada's most successful survivors ever. Genevieve?
Hi, it's Genevieve. Yes. Hi, Bill.
Genevieve, hi. I'm sorry. I forgot the French pronunciation there, I guess, right?
You did. And I am Ukrainian and not French. My mom just liked the name. So to disappoint you. If you go French, I won't be able to keep up.
Genevieve, it's an awesome name. So thank you for taking the time this morning. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. And congratulations. My goodness. You went to the second from the last, right to the end on the hardest game on television. So you must feel proud to have made it that far.
You know what? I am proud. Thank you for saying that. I obviously wanted the $1 million. That would have been great, especially it's $1 million USD. And you know where the Canadian dollars are right now.
That's true. Yeah.
But I went out there genuinely thinking I'll be the first one to go home. And I had written myself a letter, was back at Ponderosa for when I got there on night 3. I was really convinced I wouldn't do that well. And so 5th place, I'm like blown away.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I watched that video of you when you're introduced, the first CBS video, I guess. And you say that, well, if I last 4 days, it'll be a miracle or something. And you sure did that and much, much more. So congrats. It's hard now. I assume that you've always been a fan of Survivor.
I have. I've watched it since I was young. And that's when I think I got the bug of, watching these ordinary people in this extraordinary circumstance do incredible things. Yeah. And as a young woman, I got that gene of unearned confidence. And so I'd sit and watch and go, I could do that. I could win every single challenge. And I never lost that as I grew up. I lost confidence in other areas, but for Survivor, I kept thinking if I could just get out there, I think I could do it.
Well, your confidence was well placed, look what you did. And it's a hard thing. I wouldn't last getting off the plane. So
you wouldn't want to play, Bill?
Well, no, not at this point. I think I'm too old. I really do think there's an age limit to the game. I think I'm closer to Rudy's age from the first Survivor.
You're not 45 like Sue?
No, Sue is a kid. I wish I could turn the clock back 22 years. Yeah, that'd be good. But was Fuji what you expected when you got to the islands? Was it pretty much what you had seen on television?
Oh, Fiji is so beautiful. It stunned me as we're getting off the plane. And you're not supposed to speak before the game starts, but I've learned from watching myself back, I've got a pretty expressive face. And so I probably looked, like a child with their face pressed against the glass, like, wow, Fiji's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And then you get out on the island where you're actually going to live and it's still beautiful. And then they say, all right, you're on your own. And it gets less beautiful when you have to live with the bats and, the snakes and the spiders. But
wow. Are there a lot of bats?
Oh, yeah. You could hear them at night. Watching, you don't see them the way the cameras have caught many of the shots. They're gorgeous, beautiful shots that they've gotten the show of the bats flying from the tops of the trees. I never saw from that angle, obviously, but you hear them flying at night. You hear them screeching at night. You're very aware that there are bats out there.
Well, yeah, and you look very different, by the way. You clean up well. You've got a new do. It's got a cut and everything else. Was this when you got home? Was that one of the first things you did? Is okay, I'm back in the land of style, or what happened there?
You know what? It wasn't actually. My mom cut my hair for me last night because
Oh
we
my
did the
God,
finale
good for her.
episode this week. So I said, Mom, can you give me a new do? So yeah, that's what it's always been. You'd think I was a fancy salon girl, but my mom's cut my hair
Does
almost my
your
whole life.
does your mom do this professionally? She's done a
No,
lovely job. Wow. Hats off to your
no.
mom. That's
It's
pretty
just like
good.
what used to be at my grandma's house, which is small in rural Manitoba. And my mom, we'd line up and my mom would cut everybody's hair in the family. And so I had a bowl cut for many years growing up. It
That's
was
great.
awful.
Good for you. Bet that was cute as a button.
It was
Um,
not.
um, I'm guessing this would have Survivor 47 was shot last summer. Is that true or earlier?
May, June, we were in Fiji.
Okay.
Day 23 was my birthday, June 4th.
Oh, wow.
And so
Really?
I won immunity on my birthday bill and I got to
That
have steak.
that is true. I want to talk about that because that episode was a big win for you. It started off really well.
A real
Now,
roller coaster.
well, but you that was your one and only immunity win, wasn't it? I
It
think.
was, but I
Yeah.
would, if I can, point out a little technicality. Teeny and I held those sticks over our head for the rib reward longer than Kyle, but he got the necklace, which he's an incredible competitor. But technically, we were holding that long yellow stick for longer than Kyle.
Those challenges seem really, really hard. The one where you're balancing balls on plates and stuff, standing on a like I can't imagine that enduring. That must have been really, really hard.
It is, and people last longer than you'd think. I was standing up there looking around, being like, "Come on, people, drop, drop, drop! So I can win, and we can wrap this up." And you know what? The one thing that does not translate to TV is like, so it's hot out there. Like some of the days feel like they are, 35 degrees Celsius, and when
Yeah.
you stand on a wooden plank in your bare feet, it is scalding. And
Oh.
you don't get to cool it off. So like you've got that added layer of the like props can absorb the heat, of course. So most of the balance beams are really hot on your feet. So you got to just tough it out.
The sand must feel really hot as well, right?
Yeah, the sand is not so bad because it's like a lighter sand. But yeah, it gets hot, except for when you want to wash your clothes and then the sun goes away and they don't dry before you have to go to bed.
Oh, well,
That's Fiji.
that's not great. We'll be right back with Survivor's Genevieve Mushaluk. Well, as some of you know, I've been collecting 16 millimeter film for many years and sharing them recently with audiences at the Westdale Theatre in Hamilton, Ontario. The next TV on Film party screening is a Christmas-themed one, and it's happening Saturday, December 21st, starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I'll be showing 5 classic animated shorts, 2 from the 1930s and 1 each from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. The standout might be the one from 1939. It was nominated for both an Oscar and a Nobel Peace Prize, and we have a beautiful print. Stick around after the shorts as the Westdale is also showing a 20th anniversary screening of the Polar Express featuring the voice of Tom Hanks. In between, we'll award some cool Christmas-themed prizes for answering cartoon trivia questions, courtesy the folks at Retro Festive. For tickets and information, go to thewestdale.ca. Hope to see you there. Well, heat up your candy cane, your hot chocolate, put on your best ugly Christmas sweater, and get cozy. 'Tis the season for Super Channel's annual Heart and Home Christmas Holiday Movie Event, and it's brimming with ho 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 holiday cheer. The merry lineup of festive films has already kicked off and features 21 new movies, including 12 Canadian broadcast premieres and 17 Canadian productions. Making the holiday countdown merry and bright are fan favorites Candace Cameron Bure, Cameron Matheson, Danica McKellar, Jill Wagner, Eric Johnson, Josh Collins, and Oliver Rice. Follow Super Channel Heart and Home's Instagram page for dates and details. And remember, Super Channel is available via most cable providers across the country, as well as streaming via Amazon Prime Video channels and Apple TV Plus, as well as available to stream directly on Super Channel Plus. And here she is again, Genevieve Mushaluk. Let's go back to your moments of triumph there. So the event was swimming and diving and then sorting out a puzzle. Did you feel heading into that you maybe have an advantage, or you must have had swimming in your background?
You know what? I did grow up swimming and lots of cabin time, but at the beginning of every challenge, I thought, oh no, just don't collapse. Just don't say something stupid. You know, I like that is the one time you feel the cameras around you, is because like at camp, you get very used to it and there's a few and they're pretty discreet, but the challenge is there's people everywhere. And I am not a performance athlete. You know, like my parents put me in swimming and soccer and I was the kid who'd like pick the daisies and chit chat with the girls on the other team. So I never felt confident before any challenge, but yeah, I guess the water is where I live. I should have had more water challenges, please, Jeff.
It really worked for you. And then how did that food taste after all those the weeks of eating rice and stuff to actually have real food?
Oh, it's amazing. Everything. And one of my rewards, they had ice cold beer, so I'm not a wine girl. I'm a beer girl. And ice cold beer in Fiji when you are starving it's just what the doctor ordered. But then you can only have one, because then if you got to go to tribal council and you have 2 or 3 beers, it maybe wouldn't go so well, you know?
What's your favorite beer at home? What do you enjoy? Let's try and get you a few cases here. What do you drink?
So my favorite beer is a hazy IPA from a local brewery in Winnipeg called Kilter.
Kilter. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone should go there. They've got a really neat little tap house with some video games.
I have to check that out. Winnipeg's an extraordinary town. I have a friend, Brad Oswald, was the TV columnist for many, many years, and I went to visit him and had a nice tour. So many people I encounter in television, writers and producers and performers from Winnipeg. What's in the water in Winnipeg?
I don't know, but clearly like water is the theme here, right? It's like you can just come. Maybe we should start like a bottling plant in Winnipeg, and maybe that's the secret to our success. Hey, Bill, next $1 million idea.
That was great. Now, when you had that meal, you chose Smee and Chinchillo to go with you, right? Did you already suspect that they might have already made alliances? What was your thinking? I know you were hoping to win them over, right?
Yeah, so I had wanted to take Sue because Sue is Rachel's right-hand person, and Teeny was someone I had an up and down relationship with in the game and wanted to sort of solidify the bond going into the end. We'd had lots of highs and lows. And I would have, if I could take another person, I would have taken Sam as well. It wouldn't have made a lot of sense from a strategic perspective, but we had a really close bond also. I would have wanted to take all my friends, basically, to celebrate my birthday with me. But I took Teeny and Sue and hoped that we could have a nice time together and chat a little bit about the game. I really wanted to help them see, from my perspective, Rachel's a big threat, and try and cultivate those relationships a little bit more. But when you're in the final 5, there's not too much room to maneuver. And so it makes it challenging.
You got to do what you do. Is it at that point, is that when your background as a corporate lawyer actually helps you because you're in the persuasion business part of what you do and things? Did you think that would have helped you try to convince others that this is the way to go?
It's interesting because I think being a lawyer does help you with sort of strategic thinking insofar as you're always looking for what can go wrong, the what ifs, and then trying to proactively fill any gaps or have your arguments prepared. You want to articulate your position clearly in a way that is persuasive. But I think one of the big things that makes me successful at my job is I prepare. Sometimes I can't, out intellect someone, but I could outwork them. And if I prepare, then it helps me with my odds. But you really don't have all the information out there. You don't get extra study time. You don't get to color code and organize your notes about, okay, what do I know about Teeny? What do I know about Sam? What do I know about Rachel? So, I really felt the whole time, like I didn't have all the skills that I wanted to have out there, and I was just trying to keep up. But maybe that's how everyone feels in Survivor.
I'm sure they do. How does it help? How does Survivor help you become a better lawyer?
You know what? Survivor has helped in a couple ways, I think personally, which will translate to being a better lawyer, but also just from like a personal perspective. One of the things that really struck me is in my regular life, I don't sleep all that well, Bill, and I'm like a pretty hyper anxious person. And I thought, my brain's always thinking about, what did I do wrong today? What could go wrong tomorrow? How do I prepare for that? Oh, there, I slept pretty well. And I was way less anxious. And I didn't dwell on all the things that, that I wish I hadn't said. I lie awake and at 2 a.m, I think about something stupid I said 10 years ago and go, oh no, why did I do that? In Fiji, I didn't think about something stupid I said 10 minutes ago because it's like, well, it's done. Now just move forward and deal with it. And so I think just being singularly focused and present with the people around you, it's good for you. And coming back, and we've got all these screens and technology, and like, I'm not making a case for throw out the computers. I live on a computer. That's how I make my money. But it's a lot to always be multitasking, overstimulated. People need your time, right? I bet you've got a bunch of unread emails and texts right now, so you got to go to that. Like, it's a lot all the time.
It sounds heavenly, though. Like, I think that what you're saying is to, when I wake up, I look at the phone and you carry it everywhere. To be rid of that for a month probably is a good thing. Do you find, has it changed your screen habits since you've been back?
It has. I really, sorry, I've got a bunch of unread text. So to all my friends that think I'm ignoring you, I'm not. They're there. But it has, and it makes me want to be off my phone when I'm with my parents for supper or, watching a movie with my husband, all the mindless scrolling. It really does just sort of eat away at this, what could be quality time.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. We'll be right back with Survivor's Genevieve Mushaluk. Well, the most wonderful time of the year is here, and what better way than to watch a movie or two or specials or other goodies on Paramount Plus Canada. Grab your hot cocoa and dive in with all the holiday cheer of that 1947 favorite, It's a Wonderful Life. Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights, Scrooged, Holly Jolly Homicide, and so much more. Plus, will Santa make it to Bikini Bottom? Kids and the young at heart can enjoy an all-new stop-motion animated SpongeBob SquarePants holiday special, SpongeBob and Sandy's Country Christmas. And nothing says Christmas more than the return of a favorite anti-hero with the highly anticipated prequel Dexter, Original Sin. Christian Slater stars as Dexter's daddy, Harry, and yes, that is original Dexter Michael C. Hall narrating this 10-episode thriller, which premieres December 13th. Take a stab at something different this holiday season when Dexter Original Sin premieres on Paramount Plus Canada. Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year. We're back with Emily Gagne. Emily, what do you got here? You got a great deal for us for this Christmas, right?
Yes, I've got some sweet treats for movie lovers.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Hollywood Suite is on free preview from December 1st to January 5th. And that means if you have cable in Canada, you most likely can watch Hollywood Suite, all 4 of our channels, plus our on-demand selection for free.
That's like getting hundreds of Christmas presents, right? You got so many great movies coming up.
Exactly. And, sometimes you just want to kick back after a crazy family dinner or maybe a crazy night on New Year's and just watch a marathon of your favorite movies. We've got all the Christmas classics like Love Actually, The Holiday, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But also we have Paddington, which I think is one of the best movies ever.
There you go. Britain's favorite bear. Listen, Emily, have a great Christmas yourself. Thank you very much for all the update on Hollywood Suite.
Thanks, Bill.
And here she is again, Genevieve Mushaluk. I mean, you came within one switched vote of being in the final. Is there anything you think back that you might have done differently, or do you think you did everything you could?
That's a good question because the pitch I was making on the last day to Teeny and Sam was, hey, even though you guys know the idol's fake or you think it's fake or what, and I don't have anything else, why don't we get out Sue? Because if we get out Sue, Teeny and Sam, whether or not Rachel and I win, like you're going to be guaranteed a spot in the final tribal, the three. You won't have someone taking your seat then if we get rid of Sue.
Right.
But no one knew that Sue had an idol. So it's tough. You could go back and say, well, I wish I made this case, but that's with 2020 hindsight of knowing where all the idols and advantages are, knowing who's working with who, what everyone thinks. So I think I did the best with what I knew and with the skills that I had, which are limited.
No, not at all. And of course, a lot of people thought you had an idol, right? That was a nice advantage. That was cleverly played.
It was fun, like I maybe didn't work out as much as I should have before Survivor, and I didn't, practice fire as much as I should have, but I'm a really arts and crafts are kind of where I like to spend my time. And so I could use those skills to make the fake idol. So, you need all different skills to be good at Survivor.
Oh my goodness. Do you ever? What was the toughest challenge? Was there one in particular? You mentioned the hot beam with the balls balance, but were there others that you just thought, oh, this is ridiculous?
Oh, anything with mud. You could see, I've got a nice manicure. I keep hand sanitizer and a Tide to Go stick in my purse. I'm a clean freak. So anything with mud was immediately a nightmare for me. And then the nets, there's this theme of you have to crawl under nets in a lot of these challenges. And I've still got scars on my shoulders because I guess I never learned how to crawl under a net. And so I one time had a ponytail on my head that I kept getting stuck in the net. And so then I had to lift my shoulders up, and I don't know. They didn't teach me that in gym class in Winnipeg, how to crawl under the net.
I don't think a lot of us have a lot of skill at crawling under nets, so I don't.
Some people do. You should go back and see
I guess,
when Sam wins the reward, he, with 2 balls under his armpit, he just army crawling under the net, a bat out of hell. What's that saying? He's just so fast.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were the castaways that I guess surprised you the most, good or bad?
Out there or watching it back, or both?
Well, just either way, I guess, surprised you. I guess probably in the game, in the moment, in the play, were there people that you misread, or you were surprised at how they were good or bad?
I would say Andy is one who surprised me all around. Out there, watching it back, he's a very brilliant person. And out there, I thought, well, I want to work with him when we get to merge. And he had a bit of a shaky start at the beginning of the game, but that actually made me want to work with him more. I like someone who, can be vulnerable and keep fighting. And within 24 hours, I realized he's a bit of a chaotic player. And so maybe I don't want to work with him anymore. So he surprised me, wasn't really what I thought he'd be, and then really quickly was something else. And then wanted to make their move for Operation Italy, even though it wasn't necessarily in his best interest. So he was constantly doing things that I just couldn't figure out. I couldn't predict. And that stressed me out a lot. I really appreciate, a predictable player, because I think I'm a pretty predictable player. I'm always going to do what's in my best interest.
Well, it seemed to have worked. I love these phrases, Operation Italy. I mean, that was pretty hilarious. He made it sound like it was, the Allies were landing at Normandy. It
was so funny because we wanted to go, the theme was, it's a heist. We're going to we're having this detailed plan. We'll have code words for if things are going wrong, and we'll each have a role to play. So it's kind of like Ocean's 11, kind of like the Italian Job. But there's all these things called copyright laws, so we couldn't use any of those names. That's how we ended up with
Oh, interesting. You got to get clearance. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? You couldn't say Operation Winnipeg. Winnipeg wouldn't give you clearance for...
It just wouldn't have matched the theme because we were eating Italian food and we wanted to put a hit on Rachel and the biggest target. So yeah, we almost called it tiramisu, but then we would have had to vote out Sue.
Oh,
didn't really want to do that. So the branding, we spent about an hour on branding.
Pretty good. Okay, we got to wrap this up pretty quickly now. What do you think Rachel's a shoo-in?
You know what? I think it depends what you're looking for as a juror. Are you looking for strategy, social, your connections, strength and challenges, resilience? Because all of the four, or loyalty, Sue is a very loyal player, and there's people on the jury she was very loyal to. So depends what you're looking for. I know what I'm looking for, but the rest of the jury doesn't have to vote the way I vote. So
that's true.
I don't know.
Do you have an all-time favorite player on Survivor?
An all-time favorite? Well, it depends. I've been asked this question many times, and I always pick a different favorite. I think right now my favorite would be Kelly Wentworth, or I also love Ricard.
Okay, there you are. Kelly Wentworth. That's going back. Good.
Oh yeah. Kelly Wentworth has this scene on Edge of Extinction, and it's a scene that it's blurry in my head, but the feeling I had when I watched it is very clear. And she's having an emotional moment about the pressure she puts on herself, and reconciling the fact that she can't be perfect in the game. And as a younger woman, when I was watching it, I thought that's so relatable to me. It's we try so hard to be perfect, and watching her go through that, it was such a beautiful scene.
Wow. Okay, and then finally, do you think Canadians have an advantage or a disadvantage in playing Survivor?
I think we have a bit of an advantage, because I think it's just part of our culture in Canada to be aware of those around us and empathetic towards them and accepting of differences and embracing our differences. So I do think we have an advantage, just because we have a lovely, perspective on life for the most part, and are very accepting people. Well,
that sounds like a good place to end, Genevieve. I think I'm not going to contradict that. That's awesome. All right.
It's all of Canada, right? You say something bad about Canadians now.
No, absolutely not. Listen, congratulations again. That's quite an accomplishment. I enjoy watching Wednesday's finale. And is that live?
The finale, no, it will not be a live finale, but I'm going to be flying to LA with the rest of our cast, because we're going to watch it together. So it's going to be a wonderful time. Fantastic. We'll get to cheer on the final four.
All right. Well, I hope they serve something better than rice, and have a great time there. Pleasure to talk to you, Genevieve. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks, Bill.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hard to believe, but it will be 25 years on the air when Survivor returns for a 48th season on February 26, 2025. My thanks to Phil Hong, who has survived 180 episodes and counting of producing and assembling Brio TV, the podcast. Thanks to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, Stephen Dudley, and all the Crispy Critters for recording the music used on this episode. Finally, thanks to you, listener. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.